So I'm having a chat with Andy of OMD. How are you?
I am great, thank you very much, Jim. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks so much. So today is a little bit of a busy day because you've released a new video called Varushka. Tell us a little bit about the track, first of all.
Well, thank you. It's the third release from our new album, Bauhaus Staircase, and it's the first slow track. It was conceived, started about 5 or 6 years ago, actually. Paul sent me just some chord sequences, and it had a working title of Varushka. Don't know where it had come from, and it was just always called Varushka. Um, I started working on, and I got a chorus to it about 4 years ago. Couldn't get a verse for love nor money, and finally decided to Google Varushka and came up with a German model who'd been in a film noir. And I went, film noir, that's it, great. I can sing film noir lyrics and paint film noir pictures. And so that's really where it came from. And the video it's been made by a fabulous group of people called Cine 1080 in Hull, and they've made all our videos for this campaign, and they created a Varushka character.
Very nice. Very nice indeed. And as you've mentioned, that is coming off your new record, coming out at the end of October. What can people expect to hear when they get a chance to take a listen?
I'm hoping that what they're going to hear is a balance between what they would expect from Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark, because we have a palette of sounds and a way of writing which remains fairly consistent. It's just our style. We fell upon it by accident, but we keep doing it because it's the way we work. But also something that doesn't sound like a sort of sad pastiche. That it's fresh, it's energetic, the melodies and the songs are really strong. And I'm encouraged because so far the journalists on the long lead press who've heard the album already, every single one of them has prefaced their interviews with, "Oh my God, how did you make such a great album after 45 years? All the energy and the great songs." I'm like, okay, we've done something good. So it's feeling pretty good at the moment, although it's not actually released until the 27th of
Mm.
October.
Yeah, and over 40 years now of releasing music. I think this is record 14. How have you and how has the music evolved since the start?
Well, the evolution since the start has been incredible. We started out on October the 12th, 1978, as a two-piece with a tape recorder because none of our friends even wanted to be in the band. Uh, and here we are 45 years later with a set four-piece band playing lots of festivals this summer, big tour next year, making our 14th studio album. And the industry is totally different. We were back in the days of cassettes and vinyl. Vinyl's still with us. Vinyl's
Mm.
big, but streaming, nobody could have ever anticipated streaming and the
No.
effect that that would have on the music industry. And also, just the technology. The technology. We were working on quarter-inch tapes of 2 tracks or 4 tracks, and now it's all digital. Now it's all done on a Pro Tools computer with everything stays. We don't use any of our old equipment. The purists are furious with us. Why don't you have a Mellotron? Why don't you use a Moog? I said, because they're heavy and they go out of tune.
Mm.
We've got virtual ones in our computer and we can control them just perfectly, thank you.
Do you think you might revert back to some of the old style recording methods going forward, or do you think you're in the present now? You're futuristic now. Do you think you'll stick with that?
We use sounds that we've used before. I mean,
Mm.
I mean, the title track "Bauhaus Staircase" was started with me programming a virtual 808 Roland drum machine, which sounds indistinguishable from the original. We still use Mellotrons, we still use the Roland synths that we used to, but again, the plug-in versions. But I think that no, I wouldn't go back to tape. I like the flexibility because the great thing about songwriting on a computer now, it's like a word processing document. You can cut and paste. If you've got a chorus, you go, great, that works. Right, pick it up,
Yeah.
put it over there, and
Yeah.
then put it there. And actually, this bit, I don't know. Do you think this is working now? Let's cut that out and throw it over there. Let's get rid of that bit. Well, no, actually, it's working. Put it back in again. So it's the flexibility and the biggest thing you have to learn to do though is you have to be quite a ruthless editor because back in the day we either had a 16 track tape machine or a 24 track tape machine to get the whole song on, And now you've got, hundreds of stereo tracks if you want. And you can end up with too many. You don't make a decision. You go, well, I quite like this bass drum and that bass drum and that bass drum. I'll make a decision later. I quite like all these different hi-hats. I'll make it. And you can end up going down a rabbit hole and just not making a proper decision. Whereas back in the day, if you were recording something and somebody went, I've got an idea, you go, right, is it better than the other 24 things we've already got on the tape? Because we're going to have to erase something. That's when you had to be an editorial,
Yeah, good. And you mentioned you're out on the road next year. You're heading out across Europe and over here in the UK as well. I bet you can't wait to be on the road again.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we all suffered during COVID of coming off the road, and things were very difficult. And there's a few false starts of being able to go to concerts again. I think people are over their kind of COVID insecurities now. They're going to gigs. We've done festivals all summer. Yeah, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice to go out and play some new tracks. We're not daft enough to play the whole album. We'll probably play 5. And as I said, we've released 3 already from the new album. They've been very well received. So we'll be playing those 3 so people will know them from YouTube and the releases. And the bottom line is, we wouldn't have released this album if we didn't believe it was worth listening to. After 45 years of being in the band, we're in a kind of cool place. People say nice things about us. What we do not want people to say is, well, they were great for 45 years and then they wrote a stinking album, which I wish they hadn't released. So, as I say, we're happy with what we got. And we, going out on tour, we will play 4 or 5 new tracks, and we trust that they will fit in. We'll soon find out, because if you play a new track and nobody likes it, half the audience go to the bathroom. So that's the acid test.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just don't put that in the middle of the set. So with all these records out there and 45 years worth of music, how do you cater your sets with all the singles that you've released and all the music of yours? How do you decide what gets into the set and what doesn't?
We've sort of landed on a formula that seems to work. I mean, if we've got a new album out, we'll play 4 or 5 tracks from that. That gives the tour its color. We have a nice, fortunate problem in so much as we've got about 15 hit singles, most of which we have to play, because if we don't play one, somebody will go, that was my favorite song you didn't play. Why didn't you play it? Yeah. But then we will always do just 1 or 2 kind of deep dive tracks for the intelligentsia, so that people who know the album tracks or even the B-sides will go, oh, I never thought I'd hear that again. Wow. So, just 1, so that, because we know, people like to hear hits. They like to hear the songs they're familiar with. And we've been blessed with a lot of hits, so we'll be playing them.
Yeah, and is there tracks on maybe 1 or 2 of the first couple of albums that you haven't played for 40 years that you yourself think I might put that in the tour set in the future?
We have, obviously, because we've been reformed now for 17 years, and we've done it seems like, I mean, this year's a new album. It seems like every year it's the 40th anniversary of something or other that we've done. So we've played all of Architectural Morality, we played all of Dazzle Ships, we played a lot of the first album at the Royal Albert Hall last year, and that was quite nice. Things like Pretending to See the Future. We dusted off Almost, which was the B-side of Electricity, and played that recently. That was enjoyable. I honestly don't know. We haven't sat down and talked about it yet, but yeah, we'll probably go and bet something from the archive.
Yeah, good. And once your tour is finished at the end of March next year, what's your plan then? Are you hoping to do more festivals and take it even further overseas, over to the States and more?
We have done festivals for the last few summers, and I think, we've had pretty much every weekend was a festival or 2 this summer. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take the summer off, and after Europe we will go to South Africa, and then in the autumn we will go over to USA, Canada, and Latin America, Mexico, and then we will be done.
And then is that break time for you?
we'll see how we feel. I mean, to be honest, to be honest, Jim, we have talked about this possibly being the last new album we make. You know, both Paul and I are on mid-60s now. Paul became a dad again 2 years ago. We've talked about maybe wanting to spend a little bit more time enjoying the fruits of our labors, of, you know, smelling the roses that we planted along the way. But and if you're constantly, you know, running around promoting records and doing tours, it's rewarding and it pays the bills. But you think to yourself, well, you know, where's my downtime? When do I actually make the most of everything that's happened to me? So yeah, I think we might slow down a bit. The band is not coming to an end, but I think we might slow down a bit.
Excellent. Well, Andy, it's been great having a chat with you.
Thank you very much indeed, and I hope you get a chance to see us play next March.
Yeah, most definitely.